parts of the story. The first is the one that I started covering back in April, which was that the numbers of people coming across the channel illegally by inflatable boat was rising rapidly. So I got onto that because it seemed to me that no broadcast media of any kind at all were even noticing what was happening. So I got onto it, and I predicted that numbers would go through the roof this summer, and indeed they are. We're well over 4,500 people that have come in by boat so far this year, and they're the ones, Mike, that we know of.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, yesterday, a dinghy hit the beach at a place called Kingsdown. There were 8 men on it. 5 just disappeared off into the countryside, probably never to be seen again. So it's over 4,500 that we know of, and I can tell you as we speak, Border Force are bringing vessels into Dover at this very moment. So I tried to get people to wake up to what was happening, and I think finally we are having a national conversation about it. But I then started to ask myself, where does everybody go? And as a result of what I was doing, I was putting out on my social media platforms requests for members of the public to say what they were seeing in their local districts. And that's when the hotel story hove into view. That's when I found out that we're accommodating 48,000 illegal immigrants in this country in hotels or in private accommodation. That's when I found out the government has already budgeted for £4 billion of expenditure on this alone. That's just the accommodation, let alone all the other costs. And so I started touring the country. I spoke to you about it after I'd been up to Bromsgrove and seen a hotel that had been taken over in Sajid Javid's constituency, and of course him a former Home Secretary. I then went up to Liverpool, where I found a little seaside town called Hoylake. Beautiful place. I mean, they play the Open Golf Championship there. It's super posh, Hoylake. And I found that a hotel there had been filled up with 50 illegals, but they'd had a day trip on a coach to Anfield, visited the trophy room, walked down the tunnel, been on the pitch, which I thought was astonishing.
Yeah.
And then last Thursday night, a fellow called Mark, who lives in Priti Patel's constituency, said yesterday something happened at a place called the Rivenhall Hotel. It looks to me like it's been closed to the public. So up I went on Friday, and sure enough, I went into the hotel. They are block booked. There are no rooms available. And sure enough, it was filled with people who recently came across the English Channel. And the story here really is that Priti Patel talks a very good game. She talks a much better game than the rest of the cabinet. She's the toughie. She's the one going to send in the Navy. She's the one going to send them back to France. She's the one that's going to do all these things. And here it is. The problem has landed in her own backyard, or perhaps more relevantly, her constituents' backyard. So I released this video at 5 o'clock last night, and I was stunned that I got an immediate response, Mike, from the Home Office.
I saw that, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, the Home Office basically saying that an error was made, as normally we put asylum seekers, as they call them, in major conurbations. And in this case, they've been put into leafy northern Essex. Now, I'm pleased, of course, to have got the response. I'm sure that many in Witham, which is the major town in that constituency, will be pleased, because a promise has been made that these people will be removed and it'll return to being a normal hotel. But I can tell you that in the last few weeks, I visited, as I said earlier, Hoylake, a small seaside town of 4,500 people. I visited Bromsgrove in rural Worcestershire. I visited one hotel, a spa hotel, outside Congleton in the Cheshire countryside. I tell you what, I wouldn't mind a couple of nights staying there. So I think what they've done here is rush. They've panicked over the embarrassment of the video. They really very embarrassed because it's happened to Priti Patel. They've rushed out this statement, but they've now made a rod for their own back. Because if you have one of these hotels in your area and you're not living in Birmingham, London, Manchester, or Glasgow, you've now got every right to get onto your MP and say, well, according to the Home Office, they shouldn't be here.
We will make America great again.